Liberal women are already fantasizing about how they'll be, quote unquote, reduced to breeding machines under the glorious Trump Reich.
This seems like a fetish. They're into this.
I don't know what to do. I might wake up tomorrow to no rights, reduced to a breeding machine. Oh, I hope
Like,
a
for fun.
Republican strong man doesn't come and take me to the breeding pen.
Yeah, they want it. They want it so freaking bad. And I wouldn't say that if I didn't vehemently believe that that was the case, but I read dumbass romance novels. I know what women are into.
Would you like to know more?
Oh, Simone, today I'm excited to be bringing you amazing news. I am so sorry that we have been absent since the election, but I was taking a mental health day due to the state of ecstasy I was in when we won the Senate. We won the popular vote. We probably won the House.
Yes, I'd like to make a noise complaint. Jesus Christ.
Woo! And I have just been all day today watching videos of progressives crying about losing.
I go from hysterically crying 1 minute over the pain of this situation.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Yes! Yes! Oh, let me taste your tears, Scott. Your tears are so yummy and sweet.
Fucking president.
I think Trump's actually gonna win this thing. Oh, Jesus Christ! I'm so pissed off! God damn it! No! 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 Why? 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 Why?
Oh, the tears of unfathomable sadness. Yummy. Yummy, you guys.
I personally think that if all of these women got each day on right side, they can deserve.
Hope your day gets better. Positive energy.
Because look, we had people's like when you were out working at election day, people key our car on both sides, by the way, Simone. And in multiple areas, they're just like, yeah, we're gonna like, and I love that I know this person is right now writhing in pain. But what we are gonna take this episode to do is go through not just the videos of progressives crying about this, that particular form of pornography, I guess I'd call it. One of my favorite was one progressive was like, I'm gonna kill myself if Trump, and then somebody else goes, well, make sure to post it so I have something to goon to. Basically that means masturbate to. But we'll be going over other memes. I mean, we can start by talking about like this video here.
This is all prank, right? Like we're just gonna wake up tomorrow morning and everything's gonna go back to the way it'll be a psych. It'll be like a really bad dream, and none of this will have ever happened, right? Like it'll be like the first time, and then we're all gonna pull through fine in 4 years. Correct? Please, someone tell me. I can tell you one thing right now, marriage is the farthest thing from on the table currently. So they screwed the pooch on that one if they thought that any of this was going to actually help with the whole family and kids department and lowering birth rates, because that, not even. Any semblance of thoughts I had or hope for that is completely going to be a no thanks for me, love. Do you think I would ever even dare bring a child into this country now? It was rough before. Now? No. That's cute. And the men, don't even get me started about dating. To think I was still entertaining a few moderates here and there sometimes. No, honey, no. Not even close. That's never goodbye.
Oh, because they were going to do that otherwise.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, we don't want you. This is one of the things where like progressives are like, ha ha ha. We had a vasectomy van outside of our own DNC event this year. And I'm like,
ha ha ha, we're genociding our own people. Ha ha
yeah,
ha.
like, imagine if
Take
some
that.
other group drove that out to like let's say like a Native American tribal council, and somebody drove a vasectomy van to give free
gosh.
vasectomies to anyone who wants. You'd be like, oh, that's horrifying. Why would you do that? But you are cheering doing it to your own people? Okay, but don't expect me to care. You know, you seem vile. You have saved a man. Oh my God, I have to play the video here of the woman who is just like randomly screaming at her boyfriend because it's a New York girl and she found out her boyfriend voted for Trump.
Oh,
And everyone's like, oh my God, this guy saved his life by not staying with this woman.
Stupid fucking whore! So I'll just shut the fuck up! I'll just shut the fuck up for good now, huh? Yeah, you fucking want that? Yeah? We are fucking over, you fucking dumbass! I hope that you choke on a piece of concrete and literally go to hell. I will see you in fucking hell, you fucking asshole, you fucking liar, you fucking manipulator, you goddamn wish you would have played your cards right with me, you fucking asshole!
yeah, bullet dodged. I think the problem though is men these days, especially young men, are struggling to find young women who
I don't
are
think that's
not
true. I
super
think young men are
progressive.
tapping out. You were progressive when I met you, and you basically immediately capitulated on all those views when they were put to sunlight. A
Yeah.
lot of women do. They don't hold these
But
views.
that is, I guess that's to a young man with social skills. So that's a, big if. It's
Well,
difficult.
maybe
Although here's what I'm going to say though.
social
On
skills
election day, one of the polling places where I stayed for a while was on a college campus.
Okay.
And it was the best place to be. There were so many young people voting Republican or just voting open-mindedly. It was amazing. Like
They taught
being
you about
around
it, or-
older adults. Yeah, because they're at pretty much every polling station in our district, there's a Democrat table and there's a Republican table. And they're handing out sample ballots and there to talk with anyone who wants to talk. And it was really not fun in a Democrat dominated district to stand at these Republican tables in most of the polling places. And yeah, our car was keyed at one of them because people are so hostile toward Republicans. But on this college campus, students are walking up, they're talking, they're happy, they're not looking at you like you're a dehumanized monster. It was amazing. And it gave me so much hope because even, like to your point, young women were happy to talk. It was definitely mostly young men who were coming up to the Republican table. I'm not going to lie, but everyone seemed a lot more open-minded. And it gave me hope that at least younger generations aren't as politically ossified and polarized as we might be led to believe.
Well, one of the things that we're going to be talking about is every younger generation recently, it's gotten more and more conservative. The young people, America is moving more conservative. And not only that,
Even
but if
young
you
women?
even young women. If you look at this election cycle versus last election cycle.
So you asked, are there any places that the vice president is overperforming Joe Biden in 2020? So we could show you that as well. We just bring that out here. Harris overperforming in 2020.
Holy smokes.
There you go. So let this go away and see if there's anything on the east side there.
Literally nothing?
Literally nothing.
Literally not one county?
Kamala did not do better than Biden in a single state. In fact, she only did better in, I think it was 36 counties in the entire country. So in every single domain, they are doing worse than they did historically.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go to the memes. And one of the first ones that I think you'll notice here is why, like a lot of people are like, oh my God, there's been a 25-point change in Hispanic voting. And and we did an episode on why minorities are leaving the Democrats. And I think we immediately see what we've always said is that the Democrats were always the party of racism. They just told themselves and somehow brainwashed a few idiots that they weren't. And if you look at the way that they're responding to the fact that they still have the majority of the vote in a lot of these communities, but they don't have a super majority of the vote. So how do they react? Okay, here is a tips post on Reddit that got 7.5 thousand upvotes. Okay, so this isn't like a controversy that Dems are like, yeah, this is a good idea. With 2,000 comments on how this can be done. So the person says, I have a neighbor who's a huge MAGA fan. He's a Mexican American and his two parents are here illegally and I live with him. How could I go about reporting him and having him deported? I'm in Florida. Here's another one by Greg Hartfield with all the flags around his profile. Fuck Latinos and Arabs. By the way, Arabs voted majority for Trump. There, I said it. I hope you all get deported and banned. Basically, they're saying that we were just using you to win elections, but I hate you, and I think you should be a second-class citizen if I
Well,
can't
that's
use
what
you.
I've really come to hate about the Democrat Party is I'm realizing more and more as we look into the history and their actual policies and what they're saying and doing is they never really did try to help these groups. They basically just said, "We speak for you. We are your party." They sort of
Yeah,
just
they
tried to
basically
own
said we
them.
speak for you, but they did nothing to help them. What a great point.
Yeah. Mhm.
This is why everyone says you're the smart one, Simone.
No, this is just the conclusions of our podcast conversation. So I'm not doing anything novel, but I'm loving these memes you share.
What the hell? You cannot be serious. How did I wake up to this garbage as my president? That's right, garbage. I went to bed last night and she was ahead. I woke up to this freaking nightmare. These freaks of nature that call themselves Trump supporters. I can't believe people of color actually voted for him. How does that happen? What, does he pay them? I'll give you some money if you vote against your own people. Who does that?
I'll go over this series of tweets. Man, fuck you all. I ain't defending you all no more. If you're Hispanic and you voted for Trump, I hope your illegal family members get deported. That cousin needing to escape Mexico and South A, I hope they can't run away from danger they're trying to escape from. Basically, I hope your cousin dies.
Yeah. Wow.
If you're black and you voted for Trump, I hope you get pulled over because they're gonna kill you and get away with it. And poor people who voted for Trump, I hope you go homeless and get beaten up by police and they'll get away with it. And women who voted for Trump, I hope your baby dies in your womb.
This sounds so much like the general hate mail that we get personally that I'm realizing there's just this round of default attacks that a lot of progressives can't even be creative in the way that they express their hate.
Well, no, they just have so much hatred for minority and women. So much. And it comes through the moment they think they cannot adopt these people's identity and use them to maintain control over others.
Yeah.
Well, here's another one here, right? So this one here got tons of retweets. What if we rounded up all the suspected white domestic supremacist terrorists and took their kids from them and put them in camps and molested them and starved them? Just curious.
Just curious.
The whole anti-Latino thing is like actually really big. So here's just a series of Reddit posts on this. I know this will sound racist, but Latinos fucking disgust me. Latino men, and this is a separate one, Latino men and their fucking machismo. Next one, Latinos aren't immune from becoming fucking idiots. Next, fucking Latino men, LOL. Next one, I'm going to fucking laugh at all Latinos who voted for Trump when he starts mass deportation and separating families. Next one, bro, Latinos don't give a fuck once they get their documents. Also, they are religious, heavily against abortion and drugs.
The mask is off. It is so clear. Wow. The funny thing is, I just don't see conservatives doing this. Conservatives just don't.
They don't turn on anyone when they get elected or lose an election. They don't do that.
Well, had they lost the election, I think they'd be really concerned about election integrity and they'd be talking about the deep state.
Oh, shit. Hold on, I gotta share with you a little graph, okay? You guys can look at it and draw inferences.
Oh.
Huh. Is right. Now you can read these tweets from Dems about it. Right? But anyway.
We'll just say preemptive preventative action taken.
The people put on a condom this time. Let's put it that way.
Yes, they use protect.
Right. So now I'm going to talk about a separate phenomenon. So the first phenomenon we're talking about is how quickly the Dems became super racist. The next phenomenon we're talking about is Democratic women keeping Democratic men from sleeping with them over this election result, which one is effing insane. Trump is pro-choice. He even said he would veto if it was passed a national abortion ban.
Yeah. Well, and for progressives, the silver lining of this election was that something like 7 states enshrined protections for abortion in their constitutions. So abortion is now, as of this election, more enshrined and safe in the United States than it was before the election. So what are you complaining about, people? You have a president who promised to not enact a national abortion ban, and you have basically a broad voter support for abortion rights.
Out here in a video for one of the progressives whining about losing, where she's like, well, and you have taken away women's rights. And what she means, from the perspective, I think most sane people, is the right to kill children, because they want these super late stage abortions.
That's what really gets me, is I do actually feel pretty uncomfortable about some of the like sort of free, get out of jail free abortion cards being handed out, because again, I mean, at the very least, there has to be legislation about pain management. You are euthanizing humans in this case. And
oh, yeah, well, the fact that they use pain management when they plan the baby to come to term, but when they're going to abort them, they don't, shows
that really gets me.
They're just like, and this is normal within these two categories, right? If you are going to save the baby after, what is it, 15 weeks,
12 to 15 weeks. Yeah.
You typically use pain management, but they don't use it for abortion, is absolutely horrifying.
It's monstrous. Yeah.
But then you have these individuals who are like, oh, you've taken away my rights to kill children. What I really get, the vibe that they don't realize they're giving off, is the Southerner who, during the slave owning period, that just had a law passed that was like, you can't beat your slave. It's like, they've taken away my right to beat my slaves. They're my property.
Yeah.
What? You're stepping on my right. Don't tread on me, my slaves, my property. I can do what I want.
Wait. Maybe I don't have the right to kill my mom. No, she's my mom. I can do whatever I want with her. It's more important I live the way I want. She isn't an object you can own. She's a human being. Ow! Get out! She's making you suffer! Maybe all these changes are good for me. Maybe the world doesn't revolve around me. Maybe the world doesn't revolve around me. The world doesn't revolve around me.
And they don't realize how fucking horrifying this comes off to people who are like, bro, but you know, slaves are human. Like, you know that like fetuses that have like full neural development are definitely human, right? Like, you're mad that we're not letting you kill human, right? You get that? We're on the same page here? Okay, good. All right, but let's talk about them denying sex to their own kind, which I effing love.
If you are a man, I will not be talking to you. I am going to be promoting the 4B movement from here on out. Here. Fuck you. Women, fucking stop dating men. Stop having sex with men. Stop talking to men. Divorce your husbands. Leave your fucking boyfriends. Leave them. They don't give a shit about you. And I promise you, come over to this side. I will bake cookies. I will shave your head if you want me to.
Okay, so here's a Reddit thread right here. I'm not even sure I'm going to have sex with my left-leaning husband after this election, just in case. Yep, my boyfriend isn't getting any for a while, and he's left-leaning as they get. This is a men's issue, and men failed us again. Oh, here's another one. Not even just conservative men. If they can't explain in detail, all caps, their exact understanding of left-leaning policies and how they agree with it, then cut them out of your life entirely. What?
I'm done. This is a message to anyone who follows me. If you voted for Trump, unfollow me and block me. If you didn't vote, unfollow me and block me.
How toxic are these people? Exactly this. If they don't have disgust on their face when you mention conservative politicians, they support them. At this point, any men, they don't deserve the all women do for them. It's really times like these. I'm glad I'm a lesbian.
To a certain extent, again, this is one of those situations of, okay, you go do you. These just are thoroughly unpleasant people who send
I really pity whoever
hateful
was
messages and seem deeply unhappy. And
this is the thing about men who like pretend to be progressive to get pussy, right? Like, it's not good.
This is what you get.
It is strange. Let's say the strange is strange. You are locking yourself in for a miserable experience. It is not worth it. You do not want to breed with these women. You do not want to have kids with them. You do not want to. And speaking of breeding, I love this one from Zero HP Lovecraft, by the way. I hope we get him on the show sometime. If anyone knows him, tell him to reach out to us because I want to chat with him. But anyway, one person tweets, women need to stop dating and having sex with men immediately. And I'm not even joking or being dramatic in the slightest. And then he says, time's up, Foyd. Feminist annoyed that means report to the Mar-a-Lago breeding pens by 7 a.m. on November 8th with proof of fertility. Failure to comply will result in immediate deportation to Haiti. Can we do the Mar-a-Lago breeding pens, Simone? What?
Oh god.
I really want that to be a thing. Like when you're on the streets and somebody's like attacking you for being a Republican, you can be like, report to the Mar-a-Lago breeding pens by 7 a.m. November 8th.
Oh boy.
That's really what they're acting like is going to happen. Oh, here's another one. Time for 4 years of celibacy. This is on 2 X chromosomes. Ladies, get off the dating apps. No more sex, no more pregnancies. The vow of celibacy starts now. Drop your partner if they can't respect your celibacy.
They're acting as though they were
with
having
men.
sex before. I'm not. This is so bizarre. Here's the thing. In the end, what we're seeing a lot of freak out, right? But we have given a lot of progressives exactly the gift that they need for 4 years because they cannot really be their full selves if they're not a victim, if they don't have an enemy. And I think that the past 4 years have been a big struggle for them because when you have a Democrat in the White House and you have a Democrat majority anywhere, like in the House or Senate, statewide or national, it's really hard to pretend that you're the victim. Then it's just, there's not enough drama. And I think we've given them the gift of finally being a victim again. They get to indulge with their therapists more. There's more material. They get more
We've
mental
done a
health
great
days.
service for the therapy community. I wish we had invested in therapy apps right before this election
I know, right?
cycle.
Yeah.
Here's another great one. Going to have a conversation with my husband tonight. No sex until he's sterilized. I can't risk pregnancy and death for at least the next 4 years. I have 2 daughters to take care of. Implying here that the daughters aren't his, by the way. She doesn't
Well,
think
also,
we
like,
have 2 daughters.
People seem to think pregnancy is deadly. Like, what's going on here?
I don't know what age they're living in. And I love all of this when Trump is literally pro-choice, literally said he would veto any abortion ban.
Yeah.
They're living in fantasy world. But here's another great one where I think throughout this you see progressives turning on their own at a really high level. So this person is saying, and I think that this is probably comedic. I don't think that this is real, but we'll see because it reminds me of the Tindy scene. I'm so mad. My mom brought me a plate of cookies and I just smacked them out of her hands. She started crying. I don't know what came over me. This is already taking such a toll on my mental health. I can't believe actual fascist is going to be president.
Tendies. Yeah, that can't be true. I mean, and who brings cookies to their kid's room? I mean, they would make crumbs there.
Somebody who's emasculating their child, I suppose. I mean, not that these children have masculinity. Sorry, I should mean. By the way, you're a great mother, Simone. I really just don't compliment you on that enough.
Oh, thanks for saying that.
All right. So with this next one, I think this one really gets me. So we're gonna do a collection of like random ones before we get back to theme now.
Okay.
This is a meme where they say, if you don't understand why your gay friend is scared right now, then you don't have a gay friend. You simply happen to know a gay person. And I'm like, I think that this is true. Like somebody else posted, like, if you are surprised about the shift in the Latin American voting patterns of the United States, you don't actually have any Hispanic friends. And I think that this is also true with the gay voting patterns. If you are surprised that gay people have turned against Democrats, 45% to like 38%, depending on what you're looking at, and it's increasing every year. Well, I mean real gay people, not like opt-in LGBT identity people. I'm talking about like gay and lesbian women.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if you could just say, "Oh, I'm non-binary," and now because you're dating me, like Fundy Fridays, right? Like they're a woman
Queer.
and a man by any normal.
Did they say they're
standard.
queer?
but they
They don't say
always
they're
say
gay.
that they're queer because the guy identifies as not a guy, even though he looks like a guy and he acts like a guy and he has a male role in their relationship and he has a penis, but he
I
identifies.
know. I don't. He's not non-binary, is he? I
Yeah,
think
he
he
is.
just.
That's why she considers herself gay.
Oh,
Or not gay, but queer.
queer.
He considers herself queer because he's a they them, and she now is queer because she sleeps with a they them. And it shows you get this opt-in sexual identity, which of course to the gay community is effing horrifying because they've been fighting for their rights, and now anyone can just identify and take whatever they have fought for from them, right? Like it's horrifying. I can understand why the gays are so antagonistic to this group, and I would not be surprised if by the next presidential election cycle, the majority of gay men are voting Republican.
Yeah. Good for the Lincoln Republicans.
We've been to their events at Mar-a-Lago. I love them. And yeah, and Trump, keep in mind, was the first presidential candidate who, when he was elected, supported gay marriage. Obama didn't. Trump is the most pro actual like sane gay people. And the person who helped Trump win the cycle, and we're going to have a separate video on this, is the gay man who got the Amish vote out and literally won Trump, Pennsylvania.
I love that so much.
It's not just Trump likes gay people, it's the gay people are helping Trump. And to any Republicans who are still like, whoa, I don't gay men, fuck off. Look, it may be sinful, but we all do sinful things, okay? Like,
I mean, you think non-procreative sex is sinful, so
yeah, all non-procreative sex is sinful. You can go to our track series about that because some people are like, oh, the Bible justifies it here, here, and here, and I'm like, well, not really. You have to take a pretty liberal reading of it for that. But anyway, just what the Bible actually says is anything you don't do for the glory of God is sinful. If you think getting yourself off is for the glory of God, fine. I just take a stricter interpretation of that than you do. But here's a great meme here where it's kids jumping into this like college machine and their creativity and intelligence is drained from them. And now they're just like angry Redditors, which I think is so true. Oh, and here's the welcome to Canada meme you love with all the fat blue-haired women going to Canada.
That's an amazing image.
Canada, for all the people who leave our country and go to yours over this election cycle. I think Canada's going to go far right, by the way, in the near future.
Well, I've watched a lot of YouTube-based response to the election outcome, and already there are YouTubers who are talking about how they would move to Europe or Canada based on the election results not going their way. But now they're already backpedaling, saying, I mean, I might stay here. No one ever goes. I've never actually heard of someone who moved out.
So Canada, by the way, I think Canada might be saved. Germany is effed. I wanted to have you do a tweet on this, but all that come into our country illegally and that are just like non-producing and, whatever, I don't think we should send them back to their own countries. I think we need to deport them to Germany because Germany will be like, oh, they'll feel like good people. They'll be like, oh, we're protecting all of these immigrants. The immigrants will get more social services than they'd even get here. And we can eventually erase the German people, which I think would be a net good for humanity. Or sorry, I should say what's left of the German people. This is one thing where we had Jolly Heretic come to our house. And he's like, we're going to have to censor some things from the documentary we're making that you guys said about the German people because we have some choice words with the German people. And again, I don't think this is like an ethnic German thing. I think that the Germans who left their country a long time ago or who are leaving it today have a lot of good. I just think that their society was so poisoned after World War II that it has just become this woke menace, shutting down nuclear reactors, listening to people like Greta Thunberg, capitulating to every little thing the urban monoculture pushes on them. If they can't fight back, and they can't, like they don't even have close to a majority. It would be like if Massachusetts was a country. So why not just send the world's immigrants there to bleed them dry quicker? Sorry, is that too mean?
That's pretty mean. I really, really like Germany. I love the language.
And we can recolonize it after the people who replaced them failed to maintain their food supplies and die out. Here's a really interesting map that I found as a meme, really powerful. This is the Poly Market forecast on October 25th, and this is the actual election results. And it's a meme of corporate needs you to find the difference between this picture and this picture, and then somebody says they're the same picture. And they are the same picture. So why was Poly Market so accurate? This is actually a totally different thing that you might not know about. Remember how there was like this random whale that nobody understood who was betting on Poly Market?
Yes.
We actually know what happened with that now.
Okay, tell me.
It wasn't some Republican sympathizer. It was somebody who thought they could make a lot of money based on bad data. So I'll read an excerpt here. As Theo celebrated the returns on election night, he disclosed another piece of analysis behind a successful wager. In the email, he told the Journal that he had commissioned his own surveys to measure neighborhood effect using a major pollster whom he declined to name. The results he wrote were quote unquote mind-blowing for Trump. Theo declined to share the surveys, saying his agreement with the pollster required him to keep the results private. But he argued that U.S. pollsters should use the neighborhood method in future surveys to avoid embarrassing misses. Quote, public opinion would have been better prepared if the latest poll had measured the neighborhood effect, end quote, Theo said. Neighborhood polls that ask respondents which candidates they expect their neighbors to support. The idea is that people might not want to reveal their own preferences, but will indirectly reveal them when asked to guess who their neighbors plan to vote for. Theo cited a handful of publicly released polls conducted in September using the neighborhood method alongside the traditional method. These polls showed Harris's support was several percentage points lower than respondents when respondents were asked who their neighbors would vote for, compared with the results that came from directly asking which candidate they supported. So basically, a French dude just had a thesis about how polls could be done better, ran it, saw an overwhelming majority, and was like, I can make a few million pretty easy on this. And he effing did.
That is so cool. Aren't people amazing? I mean, most people are horrible, but then there are just some who are, you know, this dude, the guy who got PA for Trump, and Caitlyn Jenner right now. They're awesome.
I'm just really impressed with this guy. I'm like genuinely, what a baller thing to do, and I hope he put some of this money to good use. Even we had suggest maybe it was Elon acting under a disguise. No, it was nothing like that. And this shows why betting markets are so important to get alternate ideas out there. The betting market was right about every single state.
Amazing.
But now I want to talk quickly about a really dumb bet ultra progressive placed, which was Simone. So remember that person in the Olympics who identified as a woman but like looked Supermanish? Well, one of my favorite things that came out of this particular poll was a tweet by Caitlyn Jenner, which said, I haven't seen a man beat a woman this hard since the Olympics. So even like trans people are like, oh, this is ridiculous. But now a photo has come out of his dad who's like, oh, he's just a trans person. And we can see him as a kid being 100% a boy, identifying as a boy. We can see him in early interviews. I was going to do an episode on this. I'm going to see if I can find that clip again, where he uses male pronouns for himself and he identifies as a male, and he's XY. This isn't a person with a chromosomal disorder. This isn't a person with a developmental disorder. This is just a generic trans individual with, well, they may have had internal testes, we'll see, but it seems like it may have just been a generic trans individual, but the left can't ever back down from anything. And we talk about how much they hate men, by the way. Here's a great one. So somebody tweeted, girls we lost. Margot Robbie has welcomed her first child a boy, People reports. And here are some of the comments under this. Can't believe she became a boy mom. Tragedy. Boy mom is more of a mindset beyond being a mother or a boy, even though I would abort. But it's simply not fair that a male gets to grow and say his mother is Barbie, like he's not going to appreciate that in the way a girl would. It's such a waste. This is the person who played Barbie in the Barbie movie.
What?
By the way, people should check out our video on the Barbie movie and why it's actually super based, because it is.
But wow, that also this implies that there are people who believe that if you realize that you have a pregnancy with a boy, you should abort that.
Well, you know, 70% of gender choices in the United States with embryos are of females. Oh, and here's another one. True, we aren't sure how she necessarily feels about being a mother of a boy. I would say she could try again for a girl, but I would never want to subject a little girl to an older brother.
What? Oh my gosh. I can't. Really
And we need
respond
to,
to
by
that.
the way, enjoy all of the people in self-care right now. Here's a tweet. A colleague of mine just shared an email from a major university public policy school, which is planning a quote-unquote self-care suite for students the day after the election, featuring Legos, coloring, and milk and cookies.
Well, because
So-
they're little children. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
he
but,
says,
one of
"Folks,
our
it's not
friends,
funny
I'm not going to
anymore."
name him, but he was talking about as a professor when Trump won in 2016. He was seen as very odd for holding class the following day, the day following the election. Yeah, but
He wouldn't care about you sharing that.
no, he's very sensitive right now about what's
Okay.
published about him. So I think it's crazy that a university would just expect that all professors would naturally cancel their classes following an election that didn't have an outcome that would. It's bizarre to me.
When you know, if anybody went to like a Trump, they would find it absurd that you would want a Trump lost mental health day.
No, no, of course not. No, that would be a day of celebration. That would be a day of, you have to have class so everyone can go and gloat together.
But then he said at the end of the tweet, folks, this isn't funny anymore. It's disturbing to treat adults like fragile children. And he is absolutely right.
Yes.
So here's a shift in voting, by the way, that I think you find pretty interesting. In 2018, the women won this, Democrats won this 33 points for women, 19 points for men. In 2020, so 2 years later, they won women in this age demographic 32 points, men 15 points, so a lot less. In 2022, it was moved pretty far again. Women, they run 21 points, men, they run 1 points. In this election cycle, women, they won by 18 points. Men, they lost by 14 points. So it's both men and women that are moving right.
Well, that's representative of what I saw on that college campus. How refreshing. How cool is that?
And what I think we're going to continue to see this in America, Democrats have lost permanently because they're not having kids and they relied on parasitizing healthy cultural groups for their children, and it's not working anymore. Here's a fun one from CBN. Witches report their spells against Trump aren't working. He has a shield. And this is where I'll post the Shinzo Abe meme. Shinzo Abe got us this election. He protected Trump from the witches. And I know he did. In my heart of hearts and my belief of beliefs, I know he did. Now we're going to talk about the suicide claims, because this has been a major thing. If Trump wins, I'll commit suicide. And I think it's really effed up that it shows that they think that they'll be lauded for this position, or it's become so normalized within their worldview.
Well,
that
that's
they
a trope for abusive girlfriends and boyfriends. That is what abusive sociopaths.
Yeah, if you don't do what I tell you to, I'll commit
kill
suicide.
myself. Yeah.
That's really what they're doing to the country, and they don't realize that we don't care.
Well, they don't realize that we see right through it, and we see right through it as an abusive tactic of someone who is exploitative and manipulative and Machiavellian.
But let's look at our suicide watch, okay? So here are some posts recently. Considering suicide if Trump wins the election or a rebellion, I'm trans. I need a good reason to not kill myself if Trump wins. If Trump wins, I might not make it past this year. If Trump wins, I will most likely actually attempt to kill myself. The idea that Trump wins the elections and the suicide. If Trump wins the election, I might kill myself. The world is hell. It's no longer if, but when. Why can't someone try to shoot me dead like Trump? Politics are probably going to kill me anyways, so why wait? And so these individuals, right, and we'll go into more of this, like clearly they think that this is, one, going to be persuasive to other individuals, or is like an appropriate reaction to a candidate who over 50%, because he won the popular vote, over 50% of the country supports, is worth, that 50% of Americans need to be disenfranchised for you to continue living. That is so effed up. You're like, I just will not live in a world where I, the minority, am able to impose my will on the majority of people.
It's dark.
Now, here's another fun one by Zero HP Lovecraft. Liberal women are already fantasizing about how they'll be, quote unquote, reduced to breeding machines under the glorious Trump Reich.
This seems like a fetish. They're into this.
No,
They
okay.
they
Is
really
the fetish. Let's go for this fetish. They go, I'm in tears. Trump is very likely to win right now. I can't kill myself because of the bunnies. I can't leave the country. I've looked through Canada's immigration pathways and I don't meet any of the requirements. I don't think there's many airlines that would let me take my rabbits overseas. I don't know what to do. I might wake up tomorrow to no rights, reduced to a breeding machine. I don't know what to do. To think these women are like, oh, don't take me to the breeding pens. I don't want to be forcibly bred.
Well, and she's too lazy to do her due diligence. You know, Catherine Zarella, the fashion writer, she flies with her bunnies, her posh bunnies. Like, this is ridiculous.
No,
She's
it's
just making up
obviously
excuses.
doable.
She's
They
too lazy to
like
leave the
this
country.
scenario. And I'll put Ayla's, we're going to do another episode with Ayla's polls here, but women actually disproportionately, if you're looking at women and men and the things they masturbate to. And by the way, people can be like, oh no, these polls are effed up because the women who masturbate are weird and the women who don't are normal, except actually when you include like narrative erotic material, like romance things and fan fictions and stuff like that, women difference in men is only about like 8%. But anyway, the point being here is that women hugely disproportionately prefer scenarios in which they are forcibly bred, in which they have are otherwise disempowered. This is definitely a fantasy for a subsection of girls, and we argue in some of our other stuff for girls who sleep around more because their brain, from an evolutionary perspective, the only reason you'd be sleeping with like I don't know, like 10 different guys a year is if you were basically being passed around because your tribe had been raided and you had been captured. This isn't going to happen in most like scenarios in which, you know, you have a guy who's dedicated to you and the kids because it doesn't increase the number of kids you have. And so these women are optimized for this. And I actually think that this is kind of a sex thing.
Well, and also just the fact that either when they're protesting anti-abortion policies or they're protesting pronatalist policies, women just jump at the chance to dress up in Handmaid's Tale cosplay. They want to play that fantasy. I swear to you. And they can't just
they're literally
play the game.
Oh, I hope
like,
a Republican strong man doesn't come and take me to the breeding pen.
Yeah, they want it. They want it so freaking bad. And I wouldn't say that if I didn't vehemently believe that that was the case, but I read dumbass romance novels. I know what women are into, and that is is
our house the breeding pens?
It's so funny because people accuse us of that all the time, and yet none of our children were produced with sex.
This is the thing that always gets me when people are like, don't you want to ban porn to increase the number of kids? And it's like, people who have kids accidentally because they didn't have porn is not who we're trying to get to have more kids. It's people who want their culture and cultural identity, and they care about their children to exist in the future. I want people to have kids for kids, not because they couldn't find porn on a particular day. But anyway, to keep going, here's one on the trans thing, okay? The transsexual lesbian. Okay, so a man who likes women, a transsexual lesbian.
Okay.
If he buys a gun, I'm suggesting you do too. Protect yourselves, my sisters. And by the way, you should watch our episode on the pandemic of trans and gender nonconforming mass shooters, because there are more trans mass shooters, I think it was in the past 6 years, than there have been female mass shooters since the 1980s. But anyway, somebody goes then, I can't afford a gun and have been far too suicidal for it to be safe for me to own one. And then another goes, no, if I have a gun, I'm going to blow my brains out. You gun people need to understand this. And a lot of people are like, oh, most guns are going to be owned by leftists in the future. And it's like, no, they won't, but whatever. And this one, Right Wing Cope, which was a Twitter account made to make fun of right people, and this had 3.5 million views, by the way, said this is unironically worse than 9/11. Unironically, yes. This is one that I'm pretty sure is fake because it was deleted from Suicide Watch, but I think it's pretty funny. Farewell, Reddit, and farewell to my wife and her boyfriend.
Yeah, that's a funny joke.
But here I'm doing a little meme that says it's the fairy godmother, and she says, "Remember, no matter how much you cry like a little bitch, Trump will still be your president." And here's one, and Elon Musk. My God, you people who want to shit on Elon Musk, he's so based.
I'm
He's
so excited for
fun.
Doge. I'm so excited for Doge. It's gonna happen. It better happen. If that promise is broken,
you mean the government of efficiency?
The Department of Government Efficiency, Doge.
Department of. Oh, is that what he made it? But anyway, look, here's a great tweet by Elon, right?
Yeah.
So Thierry Breton did this long email. It was like a formal letter to Elon Musk, and it said, with great audience comes great responsibility, #DSA. As there is a risk of amplification of potentially harmful content in a European flag in connection with the events with major audience around the world, I sent this letter to Elon Musk. And it was basically this letter begging Elon Musk to be more of a bitch. And Elon Musk tweets, to be honest, I really wanted to respond with this Tropic Thunder meme, but I would never do something so rude and irresponsible. And the Tropic Thunder meme is take a big step back and literally fuck your own face.
These are the leaders that we both need and deserve. This is the mandate I'm here for.
Here's the type of thing I would say. Like, if I did know Elon, I would say he is one of the most fun people you could spend time with. He's a great guy. And I am so frustrated by this drive to just shit on anyone who's achieved anything with their lives. Look at what he's saying. Look at what he's doing. And don't believe the people who build their entire lives on pulling down people who have done more than them. But anyway, to go further, here's a great meme of Trump as the rising sun over a field of screaming progressive flowers, which I absolutely love. Here's another one here, dehumanizing the alternate. It's a woman, PhD. She has this in her name card on Twitter. She says, there's a reason why educated people vote blue. What we're seeing is the uneducated population of America holding the rest of the country hostage. This is why there's such a push to weaken education, ban books, and outlaw the teaching of Black history by the Republican Party. And I'm like, didn't you guys ban effing, what was it, Dr. Seuss? We banned like literal pornography you were giving to children about like how to give blowjobs to guys. Like, yeah, I can watch our banned books video on this because we go over the actual reality of banned books. But yeah. Oh, here's a fun one here. It's a duck chasing a guy, or not a duck, a goose, because goose are the ones who chase people. Then it goes, if he's Hitler, why didn't he do Hitler things in his first term? And they're running away, dropping their hat. And he goes, why didn't he do Hitler things before? And I think this is really why they lost, is because they went with this Hitler narrative. And everyone's like, but he's been president before. We know what he does.
Yeah.
And we saw what your guy did. Look at our video on how the economy fared under the two things. Here's a post. Redditors be coping. So on Reddit, it says, this doesn't matter. Raskins has said he will not certify, and Kamala is the VP, so she has the power to as well. Trump gets sentenced within 2 weeks. He will be in jail, and no matter how many fascist idiots in this country vote for Trump, Kamala will be president when all is said and done, and no matter the results of the election. So this is an individual who is planning how to just ignore the election and stay in power. That's kind of horrifying that Dems are at that position. They just think that they have a right to govern no matter what. Here's an article in a major magazine that said, relax, a Trump comeback in 2024 is not going to happen. We've seen this president's type before. They always fade away. So again, just lying here, right? And this one I thought was uniquely telling. So this is the individual who says, tonight is the death of my empathy. As a white male fighting oppression my whole adult life, and keep in mind how much they've just ignored anyone who's not white and is like, sorry, I'm not about this. I think this is the death of my empathy. How can I care about school shootings when the youth showed up to vote against gun control? How can I care about cops killing Black people when Black people showed up to vote for the cops? Kamala Harris said she was top cop, by the way, and kept Black people in prison even when she knew they should have been released, and used them for labor, even when it would have been cheaper to just pay them, even when the Supreme Court said this is inhospitable. But anyway, How can I care about young girls being denied healthcare for pregnancy gone wrong when her own mother voted against her rights? How can I care about immigrants in cages when Hispanics voted for mass deportations? How can I care about genocide when Muslims voted for Zionists? How can I care about the Jewish people when they vote for fascists? No one is coming for me. They never were. I was fighting for you, but fuck, I guess I won't bother anymore. And this is an R self. By the way, this is a fun one, I think. It's a joke. I didn't think he'd win. My pussy is so soaked. My rights are so endangered. I can't stop fucking rubbing. We lost to superior MAGA cocks.
Oh my goodness. This timeline is so much better. So much better than if Kamala won. And honestly, it's better for the progressives who want to be victims and who want to feel so persecuted and have their little fetishes about being bred. Oh, like everyone gets their thing.
I mean, can we breed like a few progressives?
No, because no, you. I mean, we
Yeah,
tried
right?
that, right?
I don't even want
We
them for the breeding
wanted pronatalism to be for everyone. We didn't want it to be a partisan issue. They repeatedly threw us under the bus. The hate mail, the accusations, and then keying our car. Like, I'm done. Like, bye, guys. Thanks.
But here's what I'd say. If you are an unmarried, non-urban monoculture woman and you like the breeding pens, okay, we can set up this fantasy for you. You let us know. I am sure we can make this particular fantasy work. I love your face right there. Simone, you don't want to set up the breeding pens outside our house?
The thing is, I honestly bet that a lot of people, if this were like a clear thing, many women would sign up just to like go to some farm where they would get pregnant and have kids and just sit around and do that. Really.
You're actually right. I think, and even by the data, and we'll be doing another episode on this in the future, like you're like by the data correct. And that's really effed up. That's the reality we live in.
It's gross. It's not my fetish. It's not my fetish. I don't know what to say. Like, but to each their own. You know, as we write in the Pragmatist Guide to Sexuality, you don't get to choose what your arousal pathways are. I shouldn't judge. I may think it's gross, but that doesn't mean they're immoral.
Yeah, there's weird things you're into.
Yes, there are. So
yes, there are.
No,
yes. One thing I think that is uniquely damning of progressives is that whenever they see us, they're like, oh, they're subjecting us to their weird breeding fetish. It's like, it's so weird that they think the only reason you'd have kids is because of a fetish.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, that is so creepy. Yeah. I don't like that. Because yes. Sorry. There's so many things that are wrong with that. But okay. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I love you to death, Simone.
I love you too.
I am so glad for where we are as a country right now.
God bless America. Huge thanks to everyone who got.
Now, the core thing is that the Trump administration does not allow themselves to be staffed with legacy GOP because they are antagonistic to Trump and his agenda. We have seen this. You need to stay away from these people. They will sabotage you in your administration. They just want the deep state to be with red food dye.
That is what scared us. Yeah, that we met GOP Inc. operatives this year who basically said, no, we like the deep state. We just want it to be run by our people. And that is not what the new right is about at all. So
I'm not going to say who it was who said that, but they were someone who I know actually has a in to staffing the Republican administration.
I'm very scared about them.
I would say to not Heritage Foundation, by the way. Heritage Foundation has actually been really cool. They've been one of the most like willing to reform their ideas as soon as they've realized a new right existed, whereas other orgs have been much more dangerous.
Yeah, everyone we've met at Heritage, honestly, extremely intelligent, extremely competent, extremely open-minded. And the way that they've been framed in the media by progressives, like even their policies around abortion and stuff are not what they're being framed as. So
I'm actually a Heritage stan now. I'm a Heritage stan. I
Yeah.
won't say who I'm against because we may need to work with them.
Hmm.
But what I will say is that anyone who is in any way tied to the administration right now, please, please, please give us connections. We have connections already that we're going to be pulling on, but
we want to help.
we want to help.
We wanna help
We're
Trump do
pulling
what he
back
needs
from
to
our
do.
day job. We'll be announcing this to our board, well, today. But they already know. This is just like the formal announcement. But I want to work in a Trump administration, and I want to see Trump's actual agenda carried out with efficacy and ruthlessness,
Mhm.
because it needs to be for this country to survive.
Yeah, Trump is elected. Now we need to get it done. The
And
follow through
everybody's
is
like, oh,
everything.
they have a connection there. Simone, graduate degree from Cambridge in technology policy. Me, Stanford MBA. Both of us have run large things before. Both of us have written 5 best-selling books. We are qualified by any stretch of the imagination. Let us know, and we're going to be.
We're relentless and hardworking, and we have a good network. We can make referrals. We can do all sorts of things.
Exactly.
But yeah, all right.
Love you,
well,
Simone.
I love you, and I love America.
I love America too.
Yeah, no, I saw that. There were some that were repeated, but the one that takes the cake for me is the fat women with blue hair standing at the Canada border. That was everything to me. Okay, sorry. Let me hold her before we get started. I thought she'd be fine rolling around in her crib, but no.
I mean, the
She
one that
wants
really gets
production.
me was the one that Donald Trump Jr. sent out.
Oh, I guess I
which I
haven't
sent
seen
you
that one yet.
earlier, which is Hamas calls for immediate end to war after Trump election win. And then somebody says, when Hamas, Ukraine, and Russia all start asking about peace talks within 48 hours, dad's home, don't make him take the belt off. How is this not newsworthy? And then somebody under that commented, women are declaring celibacy, which means fewer abortions. He's already changing the world.
Gosh.
Or the one that you and I thought was the best was Caitlyn Jenner tweeting, I haven't seen a man beat a woman this bad since the Olympics. And for those who don't know, Caitlyn Jenner is a trans woman. Everybody who's like broadly sane knows how insane this trans people in sports thing is. Like, it is not. No decent human being, like genuinely no decent human being who at all cares about the well-being of women is for this.
Even trans women, to be quite honest.
Yeah,
with you.
even trans women. They're like, yeah, this is fucking ridiculous. Why are
Well, and if you want trans women to be broadly accepted, don't make bad actors the ones who sort of ruin the fun for other people, you know?
Well, and this election was likely, and we'll have a separate episode on this, maybe single-handedly won by one gay man, specifically Scott Pressler's efforts. But we will go over that in a different episode. But the point being is that the Trumpist Party and the Trumpist iteration of Republicans and the new Republicans are not in any way anti-gay. We are anti-creeps who want to sleep with children and who want to convince children to do.
We are against creeps who want to sleep with children. You need to reword that, because it sounds like you're saying that you're anti-creeps and you also want to sleep with children.
And well, people can word that however they want.
How much more should we cut?
What? I want a huntswood hair.
100 hairs?
Yeah, I want 100 hair. We can cut.
Are you sure, buddy? I don't know. I feel like we trimmed most of it. We look pretty good to me.
Yeah.
It's not perfect, but you know, you're neat and tidy now. What do you think?
I think I look a fight pretty.
I think you look dapper. Don't you think you look dapper?
Yeah.
Like a gentleman?
Yeah.
Good. All right, high five, buddy. Yeah.